I know people are impatient for change, but I also know that people will give us that opportunity and will judge us, and that's why Keir set out the clear guidelines and what people should expect.
Party opposite.
You're just reading. You're supposed to be answering the questions.
They are the questions.
They're written for you to read.
No, they're the bits I've written, actually, in regards to her questions.
5 out of 7 unused homes being built within the UK will allegedly go to vagrants. Yes, you perused that, right? This jaw-dropping claim wasn't made by a few pariah. It was tossed specifically at Angela Rayner amid a later meet envision the appointee Prime Serve of the UK, confronted with the address that cut straight to the heart of national disappointment, mishandling for a reaction.
Own figures, we're also going to add to our population at 2.5 million people over this same period. Are you content that more than 5 out of 7 new homes will go to immigrants?
Well, that's not the truth, and that's not the case.
That's what will happen.
Well, that's not the reality, because
where the 2.5 million immigrants that are in Rachel Reeves' budget figures going to turn out? Where are they going to live?
Well, there's plenty of housing in the UK, but the houses, especially social
hang on. You can't, on the one hand, say we've got to build this 1.5 million houses, and then say this.
What taken after was an ace lesson in ponderousness, Angela's response a blend of stammering and empty consolations, clearing out watchers with more questions than answers. How can this government claim to handle vagrancy and prioritize British citizens when so numerous homes appear out of their reach? Over 270,000 UK citizens are battling with vagrancy, whereas others can't indeed get on the property step. However, unused homes are apparently being prioritised for those who fair arrived.
Extraordinary. So Angela Rayner has announced that she's abandoning plans to give British people, in brackets, who have paid their stamp or taxes, close brackets, priority council housing. We're going to allow migrants to get that. And if you thought that wasn't bad enough, I'd love your response to this, because this sent me today quite literally over the edge. If you're a and you wanted to get social housing, you were going to be banned under Labour's manifesto. That's been reversed as well today. So what we're saying, Ben, is we're going to allow millions of people to come into this country and take away homes or whatever from British people who need them. And that is not racist to make that comment. That is
the leadership's reaction to such a basic issue. Is this week, what does it say approximately the long run of lodging within the UK? When Angela Rayner was asked why most modern homes are allegedly planning to vagrants. It wasn't fair. An intense address, it was a characterizing minute rather than tending to the issue. Head she faltered, her words cluttered, and her certainty disintegrating. Watchers observed as she appeared overpowered advertising reactions that felt less like authority and more like harm control.
1.5 million houses, and then say there's plenty of housing already.
There is plenty of housing, Trevor, already, but there's not enough for the people that desperately need it. So the homes, especially under our affordable homes programme, which is social and affordable housing, they will be there for people who desperately need them, local people. We've already outlined how we're going to support veterans and people who are fleeing domestic violence.
Okay.
Councils need homes for people that are on the waiting list. I've already announced changes to the right to buy, making sure they have...
Political commentators were fast to jump, calling it a calamity. Her answers needed profundity. Her tone needed specialist. And most critically, she fizzled to put through with the disappointments of British citizens. This wasn't fair. An ungainly minute. It was a dazzling sign of frail leadership under weight, as the agent Prime Serve Angela ought to be the voice of clarity. The individual who consoles the open with actualities and arrangements in step. She cleared out them, addressing whether she has what it takes to handle the huge issues in the event that, usually how Labour's moment in command performs, what trust is there for the rest of their authority group.
We spoke to many businesses. They've been working with us to get the Employment Rights Bill forward.
Can you name a company, a few of them, that have welcomed these proposals?
Well, we've worked with many of the companies.
Name a few.
I've worked with so many of them on this. I've had many roundtables, as has the business secretary, and they've very much welcomed the work that we've been doing on making sure that people...
You must be able to name a few, because I can name all the companies, the recruitment companies, Hayes, Manpower, Randstad. They've signed the letter saying this is the wrong approach. You're going to put jobs at risk. Which are the companies that have welcomed your employment rights?
Well, like I say, I've spoke to many companies. We've had many roundtables with them and we've been discussing it, and they've acknowledged that there has to be a balance and broadly welcomed it. We've made changes as opposed to, for example, on the probation periods when we listened to what business said. So we have the probation periods as well alongside the balance of rights from
Will
day
you get
one.
me a list of those companies, and then we can call them and say, do you welcome Angela Rayner's proposals?
Well, there's been many of the companies that we've worked with, like
Angela Rayner didn't. Fair. Bumble. She, by and large, negated herself. 1 minute, she conceded the UK is within the center of a lodging emergency. The following, she claimed there are bounty of houses for everybody. These aren't little inconsistencies. They're the kind that make individuals lose. Believe how can anybody accept her when the reality on the ground is so diverse? Families are holding up a long time for social lodging. Youthful individuals can't bear a domestic, and vagrancy numbers keep climbing. However, Angela sat there and acted as in the event that the emergency is fair, a matter of perception. The open isn't doltish. They see the boarded up board houses, the perpetual holding up records, and the rising rents her words didn't fare. Missed the check, they appeared how out of touch Labour's administration is with ordinary battles. For those observing, it felt like another case of lawmakers brushing off issues rather than tackling them.
Look, I know people are impatient for change and people are very angry that they see they were promised. So, for example, when we left the European Union, people were promised more money into the NHS, your living standards will be better, and the opposite has happened. So I know people are impatient for change, but I also know that people will give us that opportunity and will judge us, and that's why Keir set out the clear guidelines and what people should expect we will deliver. What we inherited was a bad situation.
But
that's
this
not
is
an
about
excuse.
what's happened to your popularity since you've been in charge, and it has fallen off.
On the off chance that Angela Rayner meet didn't take off, you baffled sufficient. Her performed parents, moreover, dragged Keir Starmer into the highlight together. They're gathered to speak to Labour's vision for the long run, but numerous are presently inquiring what future. The party, that once claimed to battle for working-class Brits, presently appears more centered on avoiding responsibility. Vagrancy is rising. Lodging deficiencies are pushing families to the brink, and presently allegations that Labour is prioritizing vagrants for lodging are clearing out voters. Incensed. This isn't around one meet, it's around authority that feels disengaged. And to be perfectly honest, ill-equipped fault finders are calling this Labour's weakest minute.
Yes or no answer. Would you straight away abolish Section 21?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would, yes.
That scares a lot of people, I think, a lot of landlords. I mean, it really does.
I know, but I'm just being honest with you. You asked me, Paul, and I gave you a dead straight yes answer. I'm a rare politician.
I expected you to fudge it, to be quite honest with you.
There you go.
I'm proud that you didn't.
No.
There you go.
So I say yes, that's a simplistic way of looking at it, but we also need to make sure the court system is working and that we've got a fair balance between landlords and renters. And if I'm honest with you, I think the balance at the moment is much too towards landlords as opposed to the rent.
Angela's destitute, appearing as it were included fuel to developing questions around Starmer's capacity to lead. In the event that Labour doesn't course rectify, they chance losing the exceptionally individuals they asked to speak to, and at this rate their chances within the following race are looking shakier by the day. Angela Rayner's take on the housing emergency wasn't fair. Confounding, it was rankling to begin with. She called it an emergency, recognizing how critical the circumstance has gotten to be. But within the another breath, she unquestionably pronounced, "There's bounty of lodging to go around." Which is it, Angela? For those battling to discover a domestic, her blended informing felt like an insult. Thousands of families are caught in brief settlement. Youthful experts are estimated out of domestic proprietorship, and all the whereas Labour appears incapable or unwilling to supply clear answers. This wasn't fair. A verbal slip-up. It was a reflection of Labour's need of a cohesive arrange to handle one of the UK's greatest challenges, in case indeed the agent prime serve can't adhere to a steady story. How can the open believe her or her party to lead the nation for numerous? This meet didn't fair uncover imperfections in approach. It highlighted Labour disappointment to associate with the individuals they claim to speak to. Subscribe, like, and comment.